So, okay, obviously, for those of you who haven't seen the trailer, go watch it. What's wrong with you?
They've seen it.
You've seen it because you care, because you're good people. A lot more lighthearted, of rock and roll kind of overture going here. A little bit of Bruce Wayne playing the he's the Nick Fury. He's kind of gathering everybody as people have compared him to. Thoughts, Andy, out of the gate? And I'd love to hear your thoughts in Hall H versus anything that changed when you saw it. Watched it again after.
I'm gonna sound like a broken record.
Ham and cheese.
I freaking loved it. I loved it. I loved everything about it.
You're so boring, Andy.
I'm sorry.
Positive.
I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
Get on the Rotten Tomatoes.
I am
kick.
so glad.
Hate it.
I am so glad that they shared it. It's obvious that they put together what they had because they haven't, they're not even halfway through their shoot.
It's not bad. It's quite a lot.
Yeah, considering how early they still are in the shoot.
Yeah.
I was impressed with how much we got.
Totally.
I thought it was awesome. I loved it. I love seeing Bruce Wayne out there doing what he said he was going to do at the end of Batman v Superman. It's nice to see him doing that. I love seeing him and Diana working together to make this happen. Mm-hmm. My favorite scene in this trailer is Bruce and Diana in the Batcave talking.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
That was
because
awesome.
I loved that back and forth between them. Yeah. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
I love that it is more fun. It is more lighthearted. It needed to be. And who
suspected? I mean, who thought it was going to be more grim and grit?
Right.
No, I think no one.
Yeah. I mean, they need to let people know that they're going to have a good time at this movie.
Yeah.
They need to.
Yeah.
That is non-negotiable at this point.
And I don't think that this is the tone of the overall movie. I think this is the tone of a part of the movie.
I think there's just more of this throughout.
Yes.
But it's still unmistakably a Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah.
You still get those epic shots, and you get, the slow-mo of them burying the mother box that, to me, screamed Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
And so I think that you're going to get more of a combo here where you still get a Zack Snyder movie. You're going to get the Zack Snyder epic action that he loves to do. But it's, there's more Jeff Johns in this. You can just feel it. And that's needed. It's necessary. So I loved everything about it. I loved seeing Bruce Wayne go to this town and try to recruit Arthur.
Yeah.
And how reluctant Arthur is.
They made him a straight badass.
He is so... and
we knew they were going to, but they delivered.
The moment that you see him from the back and the two waves come crashing in, the crowd went wild.
That's sick.
The entire Hall H exploded at that moment. And then I loved seeing that juxtaposed with him trying to recruit Barry. Because it was complete opposites. Like trying to recruit Aquaman, and Aquaman wants no part of it, and then recruiting Barry, and Barry can't even let him finish his pitch because he can't wait to start.
Yeah.
I love that. I love seeing the difference in personalities, and I love seeing Ezra Miller as Barry Allen. Mm-hmm. That's been a big question mark for people, is who's this Ezra Miller, and he's not Grant Gustin.
Well, and especially I think people were worried he was going to be a little bit more emo, for lack of a better phrase.
because of that footage in BVS where he's hipstery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where it's he's Mr. Cool, and this is he's not Mr. Cool. He's
enthusiastic. He's
young,
quirky. He's funny. He's got energy.
Yeah, he's not this attitude badass. He's I'm in. I just want to, I need friends, as he even freaking says. I loved that. I thought that was great. It's interesting to me, and Brian pointed this out, and I've heard this from multiple people, that they felt that was weird, Batman playing that role. And I'm like, well, how did you not expect it? Like you said, they set up the end of BVS.
He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do.
Right. But how he seems to be more lighthearted. And I'm like, well, I expected that too.
That was also the point of BVS.
Yeah, that was in contrast to him.
Ben Affleck has very clearly said,
to kill
this is a Batman who is now hopeful about the future, who is trying to save the world. He has lightened up. It doesn't mean he's not Batman. It just means that he doesn't want to murder a Kryptonian.
Yeah, totally. And so while I do like a little bit more of a brooding Batman, because I felt that was all set up and fine. And like,
Yeah.
when the trailer came out and I saw that, I'm like, well, what did you expect? You expected him still, and I get that, people are like, well, he could have been a little more dry and all that stuff. But again,
he's
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Okay,
because if they had made it more like
Bruce
that, they'd be like, oh, too sad. It's more grim still.
Everything
it's finally fun.
that Bruce Wayne says in this movie, or in this trailer.
Yeah.
Picture the animated series Bruce Wayne saying it.
Yeah, totally.
He would say everything that Bruce Wayne says in this trailer. This is not against who Batman is. This is in no way non-characteristic of Batman.
Right.
I mean, even look at the party scene in BVS and the way Bruce Wayne acted there. Mm-hmm. You're seeing more of that here when and even when he's talking to Barry, he's not making jokes. He's trying to recruit someone because the world's going to end.
Yeah, the BVS Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Batman as a person, like the real Bruce Wayne and Batman, were almost the same. Yeah. Like they were both just angry, and I don't feel like that's a true representation of what Bruce is probably really like. I mean, obviously he's a trodden guy.
Well, yeah, in BVS, the only time you really see the contrast is in the party scene when he's being Playboy Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, exactly, and then that's an act.
Yeah, but like in BVS, that was much more of, I think, a Frank Miller Batman. Angry, violent, bitter, over it. Mm-hmm. This has pulled back to a little more balanced Batman, and again, I think that's good. Yeah. I think that is a good thing. Mm-hmm. Like, people still want to enjoy seeing Batman. Yeah. People want to. And I've heard the Tony Stark comparisons. He's not acting like Tony Stark.
No,
Tony Stark is nothing but wisecracks and sarcasm. And here, even though his dialogue is lighter, he's still not.
And it's a
jokey, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
It's a compilation of jokes, and I made the comparison. I'm like, every sports movie where there's a ragtag bunch, or every buddy team up movie where it's all the getting the gang back together. They do this montage like this,
like the Muppets.
I love that. I love that comparison. And you find everybody in their, said kind of local environment, and it's always kind of like this fun gathering.
Like, I love when he says, "I'm real when it's useful." That's not a joke. That's just a great Batman line.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. And the other thing is, like I said, my favorite thing is when he's talking to Diana, and she goes, he says, "You'll fight with us?"
Yeah.
And he says, "More or less." More or less, and probably more or less. He said no. He said no. Bruce Wayne's not making a joke.
No.
It's just a fun exchange.
Exactly.
I love that. Yeah. So again, I talked to Brian about it a little yesterday because Brian didn't like this, and that kind of broke my heart. I was shocked.
I'm like, is this going to be a repeat thing? Just like BVS, I come out of it and go, I liked it, and people are like, that was filth. I'm like. Yeah. Did I see the same? What's happening? What's wrong with my brain?
Honestly,
what's wrong with your brain?
Until we all had lunch together, I hadn't heard a bad word about this footage.
Wow, I really am glad to hear that.
I had heard plenty of people who said, "Oh, sure, the footage is good, but you're not going to fool me again."
Yeah,
I heard that.
Yeah,
but I didn't hear anyone say that footage sucked until I went to lunch with you and Brian. I had no idea.
I didn't see it. Brian, you're on your own. We know you're listening.
I had no idea.
As justified as you may be, whatever.
So I completely missed my point though, because now I've lost track of what I was saying.
So the fun of it, obviously.
Oh yes. So I was talking to Brian about it. I was like, here's the thing though, like the lightening up of it is absolutely essential at this point, because Zack Snyder doubled down on the dark in Batman v Superman, and guess what? Most people hated it.
Yeah, didn't want it to be so dark. Yeah.
And they've been promising that things are going to get more fun.
Yeah.
That's what they've been saying since the release of BVS.
Yeah.
Guess what? They got to show it.
Yeah.
If they had released Justice League footage that looked like more BVS, could you imagine the reaction then?
Yeah, exactly. Like, most of the source of Brian's complaints, and I'm sure he's yelling at the podcast right now, comes from like a real diehard Batman fan. Him going, I've seen Justice League, stories. I like when Batman is sort of along for the ride to be a part of something good. I don't like him being the ringleader. I like him being in the shadows. This has built him up to be the one that gathers everybody.
Right.
That being said, Superman is dead, so he can't really do that.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like, if you look at like Justice League, especially like the cartoon, Batman was always kind of the outlier.
Yeah.
Who would kind of come in when he had no choice.
Right.
He was never sitting at the team meetings.
No.
And
He's
you're
like
right.
in
This
the
is a bit of a
shadows,
switch to have him be the leader.
Yes.
Unequivocally, because, again, Superman is dead.
Right. But
So
we've gotten
I think-
so much diehard fan tribute.
Yeah.
I feel like that is a good
Yeah.
shift and not a too dramatic one.
Yeah.
Especially considering, like you said, the reactions obviously overall that you're hearing, which are probably from less diehards than us, are positive. And it's like, we always have to think about that kind of stuff. It's like, well, do we want the thing that we're dedicated to that is like absolutely streamlined, the comic, the thing we know, familiar? Or do we want the thing that people can relate to? And sometimes I think that's the thing that people are saying, we relate to this lighter tone. So we want this lighter tone.
We've been wanting it.
Yeah.
We've complained about it with Man of Steel. We complained about it with Batman v Superman.
Exactly.
They've got no choice. And
Yeah. And I think we'll get the epic Justice League grandiose
I'm not
trailer
worried
and the
about
tone
that.
of the movie in a while.
Yeah, I'm not
But
worried
right
about
now,
that.
it's
Right.
like, how great and how fun is this?
right.
So,
And also, now they're back in kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't. Like, if they had released a trailer akin to what they released for Batman v Superman, the first trailer, people would go, well, it's more of the same.
It would have been
Peace.
fire and brimstone.
I want no part.
From everyone.
I want no part of it. So instead they released this going, don't worry, you're going to have a good time. And now people are like, oh, they're trying too hard.
Exactly.
Well, then what do you want?
Then, maybe they should just throw in the freaking towel.
Then don't go.
Exactly.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, don't watch it.
I want to have fun.
Yeah.
I like seeing a slightly lighter Batman than we got in BVS. That's what was needed. That was his arc.
I'm with you, pal. So, hashtag screw Brian, right?
Oh.
No. Brian, much love. We love today.
I'm not worried that he's going to like the movie. I'm not. I think he's going to love the movie.
Well, I think, and I honestly was just telling him this yesterday. I totally get where he's coming from and all the points that he made. But for me, the only reason it's different is because for me, I just felt like they set all of those things up. I knew it was going to be lighter. I knew it was going to be more fun. I knew Bruce Wayne was going to be gathering everyone. Mm-hmm. I knew they were going to make Aquaman a badass. I knew they were going to have jokes. So, like, the trailer we got, I was like, you just triumphed on all the things that I think you set up and hoped it would be.
And also, they're making good on everything they promised.
Yeah.
Either in the movie or in interviews. They've been promising everything that we saw in this footage.
Yeah.
So, good. Like, don't lie to us.
Yeah.
So,
totally. Yeah.
I
take it back. Hashtag unscrew Brian.
I loved it in Hall H. I still love it. I think it's awesome. I think it's great.
And the crowd reaction was massive.
It was massive.